I think we should just entirely skip the standard intro because every time I try to do it, I completely messed it up. It's not like I have to introduce who you are. So why don't we get right into the meat of this and
Are you
talk
are you
about
are you
your
did you hit
channel?
record?
Yes.
Oh,
Dude,
okay.
listen,
Sorry, I interrupted.
I press the button and we go. That's how this works.
I interrupted you. You can say that again. I
No,
think I
that's
cut
fine.
it.
That's listen. This is we're doing it live. Screw it. Okay. Like if anyone watched my interview with or my discussion podcast with Frido, everyone knows intros don't work for me, and this is why my videos start really weirdly because they're like, yeah, this is just a conversation that happened. So yeah, whatever. Um,
Oh,
let's talk about your content. You are definitely known for, I mean, not only but in big part known for your one tip series. And I want to
mm-hmm.
know what goes into making a KarQ style video. What is the first step from getting an idea, conceptualizing that idea, and then ending up with a finished video?
Well, obviously that series is like the flagship series that kind of like is like iconic to the channel, and that's what really propelled it. I did find some success making content before that, but I think it started with PvP Twitch. It was the first one I made, which was the one Junkrat one, and he was the one who just kind of asked me, "Hey, like one of my fans suggested, or one of my viewers suggested a video idea where we do like a tip for every hero for Junkrat. You want to do it?" And I was like, "Okay, sure." Like I hadn't really collabed with anybody before at that point, so I was like, "Yeah, why not? It just seems fun." Um, so the whole idea of that, when I first started, it was genuinely one tip for every hero, and what we did was the process goes, okay, we go into a voice call, we open up a Google shared document, and we write down all the hero names at the time, and then we brainstorm together one tip for each. And it's not as one-sided as people think. They always go like, why don't you interview this person or this person? I mean, I play the game a shit ton too, and even
Mm.
though I may not play a certain hero, like I do know enough about the game where I can think of in theory craft of a bunch of random stuff. Like, what happens if we do this versus every hero? And then sometimes the people I interview, like, oh yeah, I hadn't really thought of that. Let's try it out. Let's test it out. And it ends up being like a process where we both learn a lot of cool things, which is what I think makes the series so unique. Is that the people I interview also learn a lot about their own hero once we like break it down because they're just so naturally good at the game. They don't. Not all of them go into a custom game and think about like all these crazy interactions. Like, what if we did this at this precise moment against this hero? So
Yeah.
that's what makes it beautiful. We write the stuff down. We write the tip down. I have them record the audio. They can do it locally, or I record them through Discord, kind of like how we're doing it right now, depending on how serious they are about their audio quality. Um, and then once I have that, that's it. Then I say goodbye, thank you very much. And then I used to go into a custom game and ask a couple of my viewers or subs or whatever to come into a custom game and help me film a visual for each tip. And it used to be very fast, like just like 2 hours, 1 or 2 hours to film all 20 plus heroes. One tip, boom, done. Edit it together. It's very simple. You know, I'm not doing like no fancy 360 montage, no scopes, and having like the screen shake and make it all like, rainbow colored and
Lighting
wow, and do all
effects,
these like, weird. Yeah,
cloud
it's
montage.
very
Hmm.
straightforward. And I think that's the most important thing about editing too, is just like structure and pacing. I think that's what kind of set my videos apart. I didn't make them long. I think the first couple of one tips were actually like 3 or 4 minutes long. Just easy to consume content, threw it out there, bam, bam. And then the rest is history. Although it's evolved a lot since then. So that was the
They've gotten
original.
longer, right?
Pardon me?
They've gotten longer over time, right?
Yeah, so then people were like, wow, this is so good. Like, why one? Why don't you give us like more tips? I always like learning from your videos. Haha. So then I was like, okay, we'll kind of stretch it a little bit. So the next couple of videos, we do a tip, but then we kind of go like, additionally, you can also do this. Kind of maybe threw in 2 or 3 tips for every hero, but I kept the titling the same, one tip, because it's like easy and consistent to find. But like for the most part, sometimes we do one tip, but a lot of times we actually add like 2, 3, or even 4 tips. That are like additional to the main one. So not too many people complain. I do get the odd comment. It's like, wow, this isn't one tip. This is like 4. You're clickbaiting me. And I'm like, okay.
How dare you teach us more about the video game? I want
How
my
dare
money
you
back.
provide more content?
Exactly.
So yeah. Where else is I going with this? Oh yeah. So since I added like, when you keep editing and you keep making videos, your kind of style and precision and everything about editing gets a little better each time. And then I wanted to do more and better and do better visuals and everything. So like the process used to be pretty fast. I could whip up the video in a couple hours, start to finish, like write the stuff, record it, record the audio, record the stuff, edit it together, a couple hours. But now I'd say a one tip video takes 30 hours to 40 hours, start to
Jeez,
finish.
that's an increase, a quite brutal one.
Yeah, so the process is very slow, which is why I slowed down on my edits now, or my videos significantly, because like I'm more picky. I'm just like, no, I don't like this. I want this to be like even bigger and better, and I always want the best for for what I'm capable of doing. And I know my editing style has improved a lot since I started. Right, you get better the more you do it. Then I get more picky, and then I just want to do more and better shots, and then it makes the process a lot longer, which is good and bad. It's good because it looks like I'm more passionate about it and it makes it look good. But like the bad thing is you get less quantity of content. I upload once a month now because it just takes so damn long to make stuff.
You also occasionally edit on stream, right?
Yeah, so that's something I started recently because I'm just like, it definitely makes it longer. But I thought, why not, instead of just having like 3 or 4 dedicated people to help me record each tip in the visuals, I'll just do the process on stream. I didn't do it at first because I was hesitant on having an audience who would care about watching it, because I actually get a lot of viewers who come here just to watch my support gameplay, and not so much like because I'm a YouTuber or whatever. So I was a bit hesitant at first, but I kind of I've done it slowly, and it's slowly grown to a point where I will have enough volunteers. So whenever I do a new hero, then I'd be like, okay, who in chat wants to help me? I do a little giveaway. Subs get a little improved giveaway draw raffle. I do it like a raffle style. You enter, and then subs get like a improved chances. So it's like a little incentive to sub. So I found a way to kind of monetize the editing process. So it's not as bad. It's still kind of slow. It makes it a lot slower to take the time and redraw like new people. And everybody has different skill sets. Like I'll ask someone to, okay, you want to do the Doomfist one? I need to do this hero versus Doomfist, but you gotta know how to do the combo. And then everybody just enters. And then when they go in game, they actually cannot. They've never played Doomfist before, and they can't do it. And I was like, oh god,
Just want to be in the video.
It's gonna take a while. Yeah, it's gonna take a while, but find a way to monetize editing. Just takes a long time now. That's all. And I'm just very picky, and I do multiple shots. I literally do a different shot or multiple takes per sentence because I just always like having the best visuals to match it. And that's the one thing that distinguished the content too. So it's not just gameplay in the background overlaid with all the commentary. No.
I would never do that. Yeah, very high quality, high effort gameplay, but
the thing is, like, it's not a bad thing. I think if you do that, like, I respect it, because if you know how to do, if it's like an easier, streamlined process, you're pumping out content, you're making a living. Hey, it's a business model. Makes sense to me. I just can't do it personally because it's not my style, but I respect it from other YouTubers or whatever, strictly because it makes the process easier. You can pump out daily content, make more money than me, get more views, so it's fine. I just like being happy with what I'm making, and I wouldn't personally just be happy with, especially with this kind of style where it's tips for every hero. Like I don't want just overlaying gameplay with it, but it works if you're like doing a little opinion piece. I respect it.
Personally, I feel like I've had a similar drive to you. It very much sounds like you're very perfectionist about what you're doing, which I think is very respectable. And I felt very similarly about my content for a long time. In fact, when my channel was like at 10,000 subscribers, I would be sitting down with another friend of mine who also had a small channel, and we'd be trying to figure out the best codec, the best settings to make sure that our gameplay would be looking at as crisp as possible, the best audio possible. Eventually, we kind of learned that YouTube cares a lot about quantity. I mean, you're an odd case with your channel that you can upload once a month and get this quantity of views over and over again, because usually YouTube doesn't like that. They really like when you pump out more longer videos that keeps people engaged, and that's why podcast formats are also growing popularity somewhat.
Well, I'm going to rebuttal with that I think long content is better. Watch time is important, but it has to be stuff that people are willing to watch for a longer time. Like, yeah, if you upload a 20-minute video and people watch like 8 minutes of it, that's pretty good, right? Like, you get 8 minutes of watch time. If I upload a 8-minute video, it's very unlikely everybody's going to watch it to 8 minutes, right? So it's like, I'll get less watch time overall. However, with longer content, you got to be careful, because if people are clicking, then clicking off, like it's a 20-minute video, but they only watch like a minute of it, or they click it and they're like, nah, I don't want to watch it, and they click off. That's like 2
That's
seconds.
really
Right?
bad. Yeah.
That destroys your audience retention. And I think audience retention is like what helps drive your videos to be on the recommended feed. I think that's why like my content can reach those numbers beyond my sub count. Like a couple of these videos just have I have like a bunch of videos with over 1 million views now, and that's like way more than my subscribers. But that's because it's hitting the recommended feed of just like random people who just
Definitely.
look up Overwatch and it's on the recommended feed, and they don't know who I am. They just shows up. They're like, oh, cool, I'll just watch this. And I think it's audience retention. Like we're not going to reveal too many numbers here live in this video, but I'll say the one tip stuff, I guess, keeps people encapsulated, and they are watching a significant portion of it, no matter how long I make it. So
Yeah,
if
that's
you're making longer
definitely
content,
true.
watch time is important, but make sure it's something that people want to watch. So
Especially if you make a really long video and let's say an uninteresting title and a boring thumbnail, nobody clicks it in the first place, then you're double screwed at that point.
exactly. So I think thumbnail is a big part of it too. If they don't even click to begin with, that's also a reason. I think nobody knows the algorithm, but I also think it's impressions versus click-through rate, CTR. I saw it in the new YouTube Studio.
I love that thing. It's great. It gives you so much information on your videos.
It does. It's like there's a thing where it's like your thumbnail was shown this many times and how many people actually clicked it. And I mean, your thumbnail is competing against, you know, on the sidebar, suggested bar, or on their sub feed or on the recommended feed. You know, you're competing with a lot of people and a lot of videos. And if your click-through rate is good, like your thumbnail is catchy and people are clicking to begin with, it'll increase the chances of it showing to more people. It's like, oh, this video, I guess, is trending and interesting, so they'll keep showing it. So thumbnail is important, A. B, the watch time. And watch time is, you know, relevant to your audience retention. Longer is kind of better, but not, you know what I mean? Like I kind of explained before. It's good, but it also needs to be relevant, and people need to watch for a long time, of a long portion of it too.
Just rambling over and over, repeating yourself. Eventually, that's going to catch up to you. People are going to realize what you're doing, and they're going to stop watching your videos for as long.
Yeah.
And then you'll fall off. Which has happened to a lot of YouTubers, in fact, who thought, hey, I'll just keep doing the same thing. And reinventing yourself is not easy. It's
it
scary.
really isn't, and not everybody can do it correctly. Like you can find something that can set your channel apart to begin with, but if you don't change things up, if like things are starting to slow down, you need to do it before it's too late, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I would say like the one tip series is definitely not as popular as it used to be. It's still doing all right, but like I know like I can't milk it forever, so I have to start reinventing the mold. And I'm just starting to brainstorm new ideas, new series, and new content, because I mean the series is over. Like I only got Ash left, and it's at the time of the recording it's not out yet, but it will be out very soon of this video.
Well, to loop back around to actually your videos, because I did go through the effort of writing down my questions this time, which is the first. So there's that. And
Very nice.
I would like to ask you, what do you consider when deciding which tips are relevant to your audience and which tips are not?
That's a good question. So when I work with the person that I'm interviewing for the video, we don't just write down one or two. We literally write down everything we possibly can for the most part. That's not too like brain dead or not too like super obvious. Yeah. Sometimes you can't help it though. You think of a matchup, a tip, and it's like there's both heroes are so simple to the point where there's nothing to it. Sometimes that's the answer we go with. But for the most part, we write down a bunch, and then it's my executive decision on what goes in the video and what doesn't, because I base it off what would the audience enjoy. So that's where like the one tip became like 3 tips. So we start off with something that's like may not be the greatest, but it's like honestly the best tip for it. Like for Reaper, like Widow versus Reaper, for example. I remember when we were doing the Widow tips versus Reaper, what can you really say besides shooting him in the head as a Widowmaker? It's very hard to come up with something like that. So then we wrote a few ideas, and then we just chalked it down to just force out his Wraith by just shooting him. Don't worry about headshots, body shot him, boom. Nothing too crazy. And then I decided that was it. And then for example, when there are a bunch of tips for like a hero that does have a lot of interactions, like let's say Mei, since she has so many abilities, and like Mei versus Reinhardt, you know, like Ryan can charge, Ryan can do shatter, and then Mei can ice block and she can wall. Like there's so many different things. For those we try, and now I just try to squeeze as many of them as I can. And Then for the ones where I cannot see. This is why I can't convey my thoughts. I'm just like drawing a blank here.
All right, let me try to help you a bit. Do you try to go out of your way to find the most obscure, interesting thing, or the most useful thing? Okay,
that's perfect. Okay, so we try to go useful first, and then if there is a useful and a really cool, obscure one that is very impractical but would make the audience wow, I still include it because like it makes people go wow. Like okay, that one just reminded me. Like Reaper, you can like not only Wraith form, you can teleport and dodge like a Diva Bomb, right? If you time the teleport right in the frame where like you're transitioning from like the teleport as Reaper. So even if you're like teleport right beside you, but if you time it right, you can like you're like phased out of the game and you can dodge Diva Bombs. Like it's so impractical to do. It's very hard to pull off.
There's like one invincibility frame that you can take advantage of, right?
Yeah, it's like 10 frames or something like that. I don't know. Don't quote me on the frame, but it's very small window. You have to time it based on like where the Diva Bomb is and like all that kind of stuff. So it's impractical. We decided to just include it because it makes the audience go wow. And that's part of like being a YouTuber, is also not only providing the facts, but also giving people like something to talk about in the comments. Like they may know the obvious tip. It's like, yeah, shoot him. But then the other one's like, oh, wow, I didn't actually know you can teleport like that. That's actually really cool, even though it's impractical. I think it's okay to do stuff like that. Just so include little things like that.
You wouldn't call your content strictly education, but also this like really nice new generation term of infotainment, right? It's not just
infotainment. Yeah, I like that term. I actually haven't heard of that. Yeah,
you haven't heard of that. Yeah, it's like you're trying to convey information, but you're also trying to entertain your audience at the same time.
Like that's also part of audience retention. Is you kind of have to like do something to keep people's attention. People get bored. I think psychology studies show people like lose your attention span's very short, like a couple minutes tops.
You have like a few seconds at the beginning to hook them into your video to not have to click off again.
And then B, like maybe 2 or 3 minutes in, I try to add like a funny clip or maybe like of something that happened or do something that will make people just, wake them up. Like for example, I can think of one right now. The one Diva tip video I edited, Junkrat's like halfway through the hero roster kind of. And then I remember when I did it with Emong for the Diva tip, like one of the cool things with Diva is that you can matrix like Junkrat's grenades when he dies, right? He like drops a bunch of grenades on his body, and then we're like, we should just say like you can eat his balls. And we're like, oh yeah, that's funny. So then he said we gave the regular tip for Junkrat, and then we're like, additionally, you can eat his balls. And then
Emong does like to say that a lot. I saw so many clips of him. I ate his balls. Just gets me every time.
Yep. And so we're just like, let's just add that because it's like comedic, it's true, and it's kind of like infotainment, like you said. Is that what you call it? Infotainment,
yeah.
Yeah, it's like good info, but we kind of make it a little funny. You got to keep people interested. I think that's a big, important part of it. So I guess to answer that overall arcing question that you asked, it's a mixture of it all, yeah. Try to do as much quality information as you can, but, keep it interesting.
Because we talked so much about YouTube and monetizing your content, I'm going to try something for this video. This is going to be strictly... everyone of the people watching who have ad blocker, that obviously doesn't matter to you, but I'm going to try not to put a mid-roll into this video instead, because we talk about editing, and it's close to Christmas. Humble Bundle, my partner has a bundle right now with Sony Vegas Pro Edit 15, which is the next generation of the software that I use for making my videos. So if you guys want to buy that software for as low as $25 and support my channel, you can even choose where your money goes. So link is going to be in the description, on screen, anywhere. If you guys are interested in that, and we move on to the next question. Easy sellout. You should have
told me. I just bought it 2 days ago. I should have used your link.
You should have used my link. Oh, I fail as a sellout. Man, I've been getting rusty with that. Holy cow. Okay.
So for your Clips audience, I highly recommend Vegas. I think Adobe Premiere is probably the better one if you can learn it, but Vegas is very intuitive. It's easy to learn. It's what I've used the whole time, but I used an older version. And then now 15 just came out for Humble Bundle for super cheap. I just bought it, and I think it's
I'll say that much, because I've been doing editing full-time for a few months now. I did get a key for Adobe to try and learn it, to improve my editing. And I've been using Sony Vegas 14, as I said, for like a year. I got it with last year's Humble Bundle, and Sony Vegas is really intuitive and really easy to use. It's like glorified Windows Movie Maker with a lot of functionality if you're interested in that. Adobe, on the other hand, Adobe is great, don't get me wrong, but they have a way of making complicate things really simple, but simple things really complicated.
Yep.
Which is why I don't like Adobe personally. It just takes me forever to edit something. So there's that
I agree with
segment.
that. It depends on your style. If you're doing a lot of motion stuff and tracking and like graphics, I think Premiere
Very
is also
advanced stuff than Adobe is.
The very advanced stuff. But if you're just starting out, I think Vegas is probably super easy. The shortcuts are easy to learn, and like since if you start with one editing software, it's very hard to switch because you know all the shortcuts and everything to one. It's just hard to relearn.
It's tough.
Or you could rebind it, but then at the same time, like you may miss the binding. It's just too frustrating. So, anyways, I made that plug super long.
Thank you. I got to learn a thing or two about selling out. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about something a bit more obscure that's not necessarily strictly about your one-tip series. I think that was very interesting for everyone who didn't watch you edit live and didn't get all the information, just like behind-the-scenes kind of stuff. But what do you think the learning curve looks like in Overwatch compared to other games you have played? How different is it?
I think if we're staying in the same genre, like kind of like an FPS, like battle shooter, then I think your only real competition is TF2 and Paladins. And I think games like this are fun and easy to learn, but also difficult at the same time. And I know it sounds a bit odd, but you have to hear me out. Like if you try to play CS:GO, there's like maybe 3 weapons you should learn, like this AK, the M4, and the AWP. And it's like pretty standard across like all your games for the most part. Like those 3 are your core. I mean, obviously you'll start with pistols or whatever, but those 3 are your core, and you just learn those and work on your aim, and that's that. Although I think CS:GO is harder to like really advance mechanically. I think Overwatch is easier to get into. That's what I mean, but harder at the same time because you have 29 heroes to kind of like learn and understand and know how they interact with your hero and all that stuff. So I think the barrier to entry is easier with Overwatch because you can just stick to one hero, and then it's more like visual and flashy and not as mechanically intensive to begin with, aim wise, depending on the hero you pick. But at the end of the day,
what you just described there is easy to learn, hard to master. That's the core, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now
and
something.
Then I think,
Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I think I was just gonna touch on the CS:GO thing again, but that kind of just encompassed it. Easy to learn, hard to master.
Something that I feel like when it comes to Overwatch is that I agree 100%. It's easy to learn, hard to master. People don't give Overwatch the credit it deserves. I feel when it comes to how difficult it is to become to get really, really good at it. But when I compare to something I picked up recently, which would be Call of Duty Black Ops 4, for example. I started playing Blackout, first BR I ever put a lot of time into. And at the start, I was bad at it. I was bad at Overwatch when I started. I was bad at every game I ever touched when I first started because that's normal. And in Black Ops, much like in other games like Siege that I've also played, it's a very gradual improvement. It's like you have all these components. For example, you have looting, so you have to learn the locations of loot drops. You have your gunfights, you have your positioning, and all that kind of comes together. And sure, you can get your occasional win by cheesing the game and camping or whatever, but in general, I found more success in winning consistently by getting better at all these aspects simultaneously. And Overwatch, contrary to that, allows players to find a lot of success in the game by only getting good at a few of the core skill sets that Overwatch has players get better at. So even if it's called an FPS, let's call it like a MOBA FPS hybrid, that's kind of general consensus people agreed on, you can get away with never having to have good aim in Overwatch, or you can get away with having really good aim but complete garbage positioning. And Overwatch is very unique in that regard, that you don't have to get better at all the things simultaneously to actually achieve greatness, which makes it unique IMO.
Well, greatness is subjective. If you want to objectively climb SR, yeah, you just master one thing or the couple things that are relevant to the hero you're playing, and you can climb objectively. But I don't think that makes you necessarily a better player than anybody else because you cannot play anything else. But it's a whole different basket of eggs we'd have to go into. But
it does depend on what you measure it up against, right? Like if you compare to Overwatch League, obviously doesn't apply at all. If you compare to ladder play, I think it becomes more accurate. Obviously, top 500 consistently, that's another story entirely. You just gotta be good at the game to always be in top 500, I feel. But if you talk about your average play, your average gameplay experience, the way I would play Call of Duty casually,
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Everything needs to move up simultaneously. But for Overwatch, you just gotta refine what's necessary, relevant to the hero and thing you're playing. There's there's less domains to master to objectively climb and get better in that sense. But yeah, no, I agree with you.
So this is going to be an interesting question for you because quite contrary to you, I started in Platinum in, I don't remember, I think 62 or something in Season 1. And then in Season 2, I started in Platinum and was stuck in Platinum for like probably a month and a half. It was very frustrating for me. I tried to use my shooter experience. I played way back in the day, Warrock very competitively. I played Battlefield 3, I played Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 on console, and I too would describe myself as a very competitive person in that regard, but there was something about Overwatch that just didn't click for me. I was playing the shooter characters like McCree and Soldier, just didn't get anywhere until that moment where it snapped. I was like, I suddenly saw the matrix in front of me. I found which heroes I was good at, which surprisingly were not the shooter characters like McCree and Soldier, and started ranking up very, very quickly. Do you think that's a common thing in Overwatch?
I think so. I mean, I literally played Soldier, McCree, and everything, Masters, whatever. But then I was kind of stuck there in the next season as well, like 37, 38. And then I switched to support and I went to 4,300, just clicked. And I'm like, I just realized that style just wasn't working for me in this game. And also playing hitscan in this game that draw similarities to other games like Call of Duty and everything are different because the motion and movement in this game is so much more erratic than the staticness of, other traditional based shooters. You try to play Call of Duty, people aren't going to be like flying or jumping in the air. At least the old Call of Duty, I don't know, they got like weird shit now.
Yeah, now they have jump packs and stuff.
Flying and jump packs. But back in the day, like when you play CS:GO or something, it's just no one's going to be in the air. So you kind of already have your crosshair ready. But for an Overwatch, the movement is so erratic to the point where you kind of have to just it's just a lot. It's a different skill set, and everybody's starting fresh because I still can't play Widowmaker for the life of me because people just move so awkwardly for me still. So I can't get precision headshots. I can do body shots. That's why I play Ana. But just the headshotting on Widow is just so hard for me, and I just can't do it. So
okay. No, because this is one thing. It seems like you weren't really thinking too hard about that before we did this interview. So, do you think that your one tip series helps people find that breaking moment where they suddenly see the matrix and help finding this point where they improve radically from there?
I think some people tell me they pop into the stream and be like, your tips literally got me from bronze to diamond. And I'm like, that's great. But I honestly don't believe that's true because I think tips are great. But at the same time, it's like very general, like hero specific tips in this situation. I think people just improve with a lot of different domains. It's something to keep in mind, like this little mini tip versus this hero. But I don't think that's the breaking point. I think people just get better naturally. And I think it's also another thing to apply those tips and remember them every time. And it's just it's such a tiny fraction of a hero that I don't believe that's the main cause. I think some people believe it is, and I think that's great. It makes me feel good, but at the same time, I secretly don't believe that's what made them better. I think maybe watching the video just helped them think more broader. I think in a grand scale, they're like, oh yeah, I guess in this matchup, this is what should happen. And then they just think more logically because of the videos and not necessarily the tips themselves, if that makes any sense. I don't know if that
makes sense to me.
Maybe I'm just getting too philosophical here, but I don't know. I've always felt like tips are nice, but they never really make or break someone to climb 1,000 SR. I don't believe that's even humanly possible. That one little tip for this hero versus this hero, and it's just that's what's gonna improve you 1,000 SR. No, I refuse to believe that. I think there's stuff like decision making and positioning and everything, and that's very hard to teach. And I don't even have any videos on positioning and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, that's my opinion on that. At least I don't think it's
very interesting. It kind of supports the whole infotainment route that you're going. You're not necessarily trying to be the guy that helps somebody climb 1,500 SR. You want to just give some tips, entertain people in the process.
Yeah, I think it'll help a little bit. In that certain matchup, they do remember, oh, that one tip there. Okay, but is that really going to make or break 500 SR? People be like, dude, I watched it, and then I climbed 500 in the next day. I'm like, yeah, there's no fucking way. You just probably, it's not from the video. You just got better, man. You don't have to give me credit for any of that. You legitimately got better, and you just chalking it down to the videos. I refuse to believe that. No way.
I do think, though, that there's value. If you are somebody who's interested in learning, there's value in watching the one-tip video series, even of heroes you don't play, because there's going to be a tip against your particular character, and you'll learn how to deal with that tip. So that's also very helpful.
That's true, though. Yeah, I don't think, there is value in it, but I think people are giving it too much credit. because it's up to the individual to apply and learn. I mean, there's probably tons of people who watched it and never improved at all, you know.
It is very good content. I always love seeing great content. So,
oh, thanks, man. Yeah.
So why don't we end this with one last question, which will be, which video of the One Tip series specifically is your personal favorite?
I don't want to go strictly by views. I think one of my early ones that I made, I was very proud of. It was called The Difference Between HP, Shield, and Armor. And I think it's still pretty relevant to this day. Some of it's a little bit outdated, but the concepts are still exactly correct. I literally made it 2 years ago, but...
Can I just quickly throw in, I wanted to do that video, and I looked that up, and you already made yours. It was like 2 weeks old at that time. I got so salty when I saw that you already made that.
Okay, here's my advice for anybody aspiring to be a content creator. Don't be afraid to make content, even if it's similar to someone else's. People always ask me, some people ask me for permission. Can I do a one tip series as well? I'm like, I don't own the damn idea. You knock it out of the park, man. Go ahead.
You can copyright it.
I'm flattered. I'm flattered that you think like I own and pioneered the idea, but you're free to make it. Like if your Overwatch makes 5 Ana tips, it's not like I can't make 5 Ana tips now, can I? I can still make it. Tons. If somebody else did a VOD review, it doesn't mean I can't do it too. If I made the one tip series, you go make it yourself. So I mean, for you, I know you said I already made it, and it doesn't feel like it feels like you may be competing, but at the end of the day, actually it helps both of you out, because if you watch one, you get it related or suggested to the other one very, very easily. So
all right,
if you see content, you don't copy it directly, but you can get inspired and make your own version of it, and just make content.
Okay, that's but the question, your favorite one tip video? Have to choose one.
I don't want to, because
you have to choose one.
I think it's less of the video itself, but more of the idea that whenever I work with somebody, like it goes beyond just like doing the tips. I get to talk to them. I get to know them as a person a little bit. We kind of like chat for a bit, know what's up, get a little personal with the people. So now that I've interviewed like 28, 29 different people, I got to know them a little bit. I think that's the most beautiful part of the one tip stuff. So I don't really necessarily have a favorite, because everybody's got their own personality and all that kind of stuff. So if I want to say the one tip that's my favorite, it's the one that I didn't feature anybody, which is my one ultimate tip for every hero. It's not even a hero tip. It's like one ultimate usage tip. It was very recent too. And that one like won the algorithm. It has like a stupid amount of views.
That's a funny tidbit here. You say that working on these videos helped you get to know the other people. Despite us knowing each other for a while, we have never actually talked one-to-one. This is the first time. For anyone who's interested.
That goes for a lot of people too. Like I knew a lot of these people from like solo queue or whatever, but I never talked to them one-on-one. Like it's a bit weird to just, I mean, if you're not making content, you just want to go call them and hang out. It's kind of like real life. You just meet someone, you kind of know a person, but I wouldn't like call them and just talk to them.
Yeah, I think we met
like kind of weird.
Tops twice. I remember one distinct match where we were in the same game. Maybe we met twice, it's possible, but beyond that, we've never really like had voice interaction beyond that. So
yep,
this is the first time.
Nice. Awesome. It's nice though.
It was a lot of fun having you here. Any closing thoughts you want to tell the 5 people who watch this video? Smile.
Subscribe to Cliff Terios, because I think he fills a niche that is not missing, but I think he's very good at
ranting.
Ranting and giving his piece and his opinion on stuff, and it's way more entertaining than people give credit for. And it's just hard to like find an audience for that, because it's a bit niche or niche, whatever you want to say. But I think it's required. I think creators need to fill every niche of a game possible to please the most amount of people, and it helps the community enjoy the game more when you can find content for almost everything. You want factual tips? Yeah, you can watch mine. You want opinion pieces? You watch Cliff Terios. That's my closing thought.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Don't worry about what anybody else is doing.
Just do it. Shia LaBeouf, just do it.
Just do it.
Well, I want to thank you very much for being here. I want to thank people for watching. And don't forget to check out KarQ. Obviously, I'm going to link your channel. It's going to be on screen right now with your favorite video, the one ultimate tip. As well as check out KarQ over on Twitch. He has a great stream, very chill, awesome community as well. And until next time, thanks for watching, guys, and Till then.
Be a YouTuber. Tell people, remind them to like, comment, subscribe. It's annoying, but it works. It's
And
a call
ring
to
the
action.
bell.
It literally works.
Sub to PewDiePie.
Take it from my voice right now. If you do not if you're not subscribed, click subscribe. I want to see at least 1,000 subscriber jump off this video. At least.
That's not good enough.
If anybody made it to the end, they heard this.
If like the 5 people watch us made to the end, you're awesome.
Yep. All right. I got you. And hit the bell.
Hit the bell icon and subscribe to PewDiePie.